We are not saying when you say pay yourself first, take that money and go and celebrate and say, this is my body, I work hard for it, I work hard for this money, I'm the one who was waking up in the morning. Yeah, we know that. Welcome to Friday Finances with Mr. Msibi. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the one thing that a lot of people are struggling to do, and the one thing that can help you a lot when rainy days comes. And that thing is called savings. But what are savings? Well, according to Wikipedia, savings is income not spent. And according to Investopedia, which gives us a long definition that you're going to see right here, it also explains the same thing. But with me, I believe that savings is the amount of money that you put away after every paycheck. And bear in mind, like I said, after every paycheck. Now, don't mind my phone. It has the topics that I want to be talking about today, which also covers what are savings and how we can save. And also, it is important to highlight that there is no secret as to how to save, rather guidelines and objectives. Now, it is important that when you do savings, you have an end goal, right? In other words, what do you mean by an end goal? What is it that you want to achieve? Why are you saving? You cannot be saving for the sake of saving. That one will give you problems. So when you save, you need to have a reason. So here, I'm going to be giving you 6 things that are probably going to help you, right? So here's what I do. As a person who has multiple income stream, I save. I take my savings seriously. Now, I've seen a lot of people who save money, that they save a certain amount where they know exactly that every month they're going to have that. Now, I do not dispute that. I like it also because I have a unit trust that also does the same thing. So the rule that I apply when it comes to my saving is that I save 15% of every income that I make, regardless of how much money I make. So hypothetically speaking, let's say I make $100. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to save 15% of that. I'm applying the rule that we learned from one of the greatest books ever, Rich Dad Poor Dad, where it says pay yourself first. So if that money comes into my account, I'm going to take 15% to my other account. Now, when it gets to the other account, I then split it into 2. And that other account, I have what is known as a tax-free savings account. And I also have Phuthaliyenzeka, which is the name I've given to my emergency fund. Right. So with my tax-free account, the goal is very simple. Max out the tax-free account the entire year. Which means if this year it's 36,000, I have to make sure that I reach that goal of 36,000. So that's my goal. Now with Vutirhelo, which is my emergency fund, that is where I am saving money for rainy days. Now, when it comes to saving money for rainy days, people need to understanding themselves exactly who they are and what is it that they are putting that money for, or what is it that they consider to be an emergency. So we can break it down to 3 and say, for a person who is a tenant or person who is renting and doesn't have any dependent, it is important that you have at least 3 times of your monthly income. So in other words, if you earn 10,000 rand, you need to have 30,000 rand in your emergency fund. That is money that can help you should something happen. And I think we can all agree and say, with what has been happening with COVID-19, we do know that things can happen, and you find yourself in a situation where you're like, okay, what am I going to do now? So if you have that, you're already pre-planning ahead. Now, if you're a person who has dependents and you have a regular paycheck, and by regular paycheck, we're talking about you getting a salary every month, it is important that you have at least 6 times. So again, using the same example, if you're earning 10,000 rand, we are talking about you having 60,000 rand in your account or in your emergency account. Now, when it comes to freelancers, entrepreneurs, self-employed actors, or anyone who doesn't have a regular payment, it is important that you have at least 9 times of your monthly income. That way you can be able to survive, or to be able to have enough funds to help you through difficult times. Now, people will say, I don't know how much is my monthly income because I only get paid maybe in a quarterly, or maybe I only get paid once or twice in a year. But then that can also be easily fixed, because then you can arrange with the people who are paying you to say, okay, is it possible that you guys can pay me in 12 months? Which means you take the total amount of money that they're giving you in that contract. If it's 100,000, then it's divided into 12. That way you are able to get monthly income, so that you can find out. Or you can then decide, when you do your budgeting, you find out exactly how much do you need on your monthly base for you to survive. So that becomes your target of how much that you need to save. Because if I am using 9,000 rand, for example, per month, that means in my savings I need to have at least 9 to 10,000 rand every single month. That becomes, then we can then multiply it by 3 so that we can have that monthly income for person, like I said, for a person that who doesn't have any dependent. But for person who does have independence and also within the same category, or be to 9. So just to refrain again, it is 3, 6, 9, depending on which category you are in. That becomes your emergency fund. With me, I call it Vutirhelo, which means mistakes do happen. Other people, they say life happens. So when life happens, you need to be ready for it. Now, people are different. You might have your own criteria as to what is it that is considered an emergency. So that one is very key. It is important that you know from your budget or from your savings what is an emergency. Not eating a chicken licken per month is not an emergency. That becomes one of your wants. So an emergency is a situation where you are desperately in need of money in order for you to do something. Hence the word desperately, emergency. It is important that you do that. So that becomes your emergency funds, why you need to have them, right? So once that one is covered, we then move on to what is known as a tax-free savings account. Now, most people look at tax-free savings account as a long-term investment. Well, I look at my tax-free investment exactly as it is, as money that is saved where government doesn't have a say on it. On the interest that I made, the government doesn't have a say. But then, as you know, there are rules and regulations. I'm going to make a video about that one as to how to understand the tax-free savings account. So basically, the current regulations state that you are allowed to save at least 36,000 per year in your tax-free savings account. So that one also becomes, because it becomes my goal of saying, with my goal, I want to save up until I reach that limit of 15 years, following the regulations of the tax-free savings account. So I'll try by all means necessary to exhaust that account to ensure that by the time we reach December, I've saved that 36,000. So if I do my calculations correctly, I'm going to be saving around 2.5 per month. But I don't do that because, like I said, I only save 15% of my income regardless of how much income it is. So if this month I'm making 10,000, I'm going to save 1,500. But if next month I'm making 5,000, then I'm still going to save 15% of that amount of money, from that amount of money that I'm making. And then there is something known as a unit trust, right? That's another method of saving money. Now, a unit trust is when you then get in touch with investment houses and then you request them that they open an investment account or a savings account. But people call it an investment account. I still believe that it's a savings account. So there, it requires some sort of discipline, because if you know very well that you cannot save money on your own, which means now is the method of I was giving you 15%, 10%, 30%, up to you. You can't do it on yourself. You go to the bank, you make an arrangement with the bank that they do a debit order for you, because you have a problem with your discipline. You can't discipline yourself. So you need someone to take action towards that. So you open a unit trust where then you ask the bank for them to deduct a certain amount of money from your bank account to the unit trust, so that you know what you are saving money every month, depending on how much money you can save. Can be 250, can be 500 rand, can be 1,000 rand. It's really up to you based on how much money you have, right? Now, remember, like we said, Wikipedia said it is income that is not spent. Now, it doesn't just end there. We also can add things like this. This is a money box, right? So I have this one where I bank all my change, like FNB does with the bank your change in the app. So instead of, because there's some change that I can't give to FNB because they're in my car, or whenever I finish buying groceries, I'll take the change and put it here. So this one has developed that discipline within me, but it's something that I learned mostly from my dad, who used to do the same thing. He will save money on a monthly basis, and then once it is full, he will take it home, and then he will open it, and then we will share it. But because I was too naive that time, I will enjoy that money, I will just chow it. But then when I started shadowing him, I noticed why he was doing it. So he basically was actually teaching us the importance of banking your change. Because you might not realize that just by putting a 5 rand here and tomorrow putting 2 rand, by the time it is full, you actually have more money than you thought, right? So the money box, it plays a huge role. And then I also have what is known as the Stokvel. Not the 200 rand Stokvel that people are talking about on WhatsApp, but a Stokvel that I have with the ladies. Again, that was my father's plan again. Before my father passed away, he used to do the same thing. So I use that. The goal with that one is the amount of money that I save there. Its goal is to take my family on a vacation each and every year. So we know that at the moment we only go on vacations once a year, which means I save money on a monthly base. With the ladies by Stokvel, they're very disciplined when it comes to the investments, or rather the savings that we have there. So I'm also disciplined in the manner of saying I'm gonna put money every single month, because I know that my goal is to take my family on a vacation every single year. So whenever I save money, I always attach a goal to it. Now, you might say, how do I save when I have a lot of debt and everything? So debt also plays a huge role as to why people are not saving money, because we find people that they have a lot of debt, which is another thing. We're also going to make a video as to how to get out of debt, right? So when you have debt, it is important that you know what debt is it that you have and how you're going to pay for them, because as soon as you finish off paying off your debt, you start releasing money from there, which is money that you can use to then save, or which is money you can use to put aside. Because guys, we're not gonna lie about this thing. It is important. If COVID-19 did not teach you that savings are important, I don't know what else would. So always put in mind that the rule says it is, or not the rule, the definition is, it is income that is not spent. That is savings. So the amount of money that you did not use, as already mentioned. If you read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, I almost got the spelling very wrong there. But hey, so like, yeah, Robert Kiyosaki explains, actually tells us that it is important to pay yourself first. So basically, that's the process where you take money from an income that you receive and you save it. And by pay yourself, guys, I need to make this thing clear. We are not saying when you say pay yourself first, take that money and go and celebrate and say, this is my body, I work hard for it, I work hard for this money, I'm the one who was waking up in the morning. We know that. But that's not what we are saying when you say pay yourself first. We are basically saying take care of your future self, which means take money from the income that you earn, put it aside, attach that money to a goal. Because if it's not attached to a goal, it is that money is gone. Because like I said, if it's not attached to a goal, it is gone. Because you'll use it at any time, because you're going to look at your bank account and be like, oh, I have 500 Rand, but I have no use for that 500 Rand, so I might as well just use it. And also, there's another thing that people do that they do not realize. If someone gives you money that you were not budgeting for, or money that you were not expecting it, save that money. Because if you use it, you're not going to feel anything. You're not going to miss that money. So say it's better to save it than to spend it, right? And also, if you have additional income, guys, I always beg this. If you have additional income, for you to reach your savings goals, pay off your debt as soon as you can. Another thing that helps me a lot when it comes to saving money, it is buying in bulk, especially when it comes to non-perishable things. Things like your washing powder. There's no need for you to buy 2 kg. Why don't you just buy a 5 kg? That thing's gonna last you, right? So where I do that in order for me to be able to save some money, and then I know that the following months, I have some sort of money that I can use to buy other things. So if the advices or the tips that we've been giving you are helpful to you, please comment, subscribe to the channel, like it, and also share it with anyone that you think is going to benefit to this. And oh yeah, by the way, before I forget, next week, we're talking about debt, how to get out of debt. And we're going to be explaining it. What is debt? Is that debt good? Is there any debt that is considered good or bad debt? But hey, you got to wait till you find out next week. Enjoy.